weeks,
All
like
right.
days, months,
Yeah,
years,
that's
weeks.
okay. Yeah, I figured it was too easy, so I knew I was going to butcher it. But if that's what it is, all right. It's so Mr. Preston Weekes, co-author of How to Be Up in Down Times by Mark
Yep.
Victor Hansen, Mitzi Purdue, and Preston Weekes, which I'll put in the description and in the top comment, and which I read, and is it definitely is. It's the antithesis of everything else that's going on right now. Everyone is either the left is taking over the country or the right is taking over the country, and then this book comes out and it's like, hey guys, let's look at the upside of life, and it's just like there's a nice little breath of change.
And it ended up being purple, which
Yeah.
was just,
That's all right. All right, I get it. I like it.
but we're here to help everyone,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But whatever side of the fence you're on,
Sure,
I know,
sure.
but that's the thing. I mean, yeah, the times are crazy right now. I mean, it just as we sit today, the whole nation's just kind of
on edge.
It's definitely relevant, right now. What's happening.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting, but it's scary, and but it's just how people are connecting with it.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. Is there's like, you can look at this and say like all is lost, 2020 sucks, or it's an admittedly more of a romantic idea, but I mean it's the idea I took in like March when the pandemic or when lockdown started. I was like there's like two ways I can come out of this. I can come out of this like 20 pounds heavier and having done nothing but played Xbox, or I'm like 5 pounds lighter. I was like, or I can lose some weight and build my podcast. I had been doing an episode once a week. Now I've been doing about 10 a week since the pandemic started. Now I'm at this is 240. And it's how you look at it. But that's what you talk about in the opening. It even says it's like a caterpillar has no idea it's about to become a butterfly. And furthermore, obviously we know, but anyone that was looking at a caterpillar couldn't even tell that it was becoming. It just thinks it's building a cocoon. This is just the thing I do. It seems like it's the end of the life, right? You're building this thing around you. It's like you're sealing your own tomb, but you're about to come out as like a beautiful winged creature from a fairy tale book, right?
Yeah. And so, and to line that up with what's happening today, everyone in isolation is kind of in their little.
Yeah.
And
beautifully said.
We have that opportunity. We have the opportunity right now to do what you're doing and follow your goal or follow your dream and reinvent yourself and do that thing that you didn't want to do or couldn't do or didn't have time to do before. And so that, there's a lot of chaos and a lot of bad, but there are some good positive things that are coming out of the pandemic, like people that are actually starting to take some action and accomplish these goals and accomplish these amazing things. So I've been a part of some fun projects along the way to help enable people to do that. So I partnered with Mark. So basically, well, I don't know, we could go.
I was gonna say, how did you get into it? Yeah, how did this whole thing unfold?
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit before I go there. So so my background, so I'm a car nut. I love cars.
All right.
So you can talk cars all day and night with me. My license plate actually says car guy. I have to register my car in a different state to get that plate because car guy was taken in my state. That's how much of a nut I am. But I love cars. So I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to college. So I had to figure out how to pay for school. So I love cars. I bought and sold cars ever since I was 16 so I could get a cooler car.
Yeah.
And then I did that to pay for college too. So I bought and sold cars along the way. And by the time I graduated, I couldn't get a job that paid me more. I was doing pretty well at that business. And so I ran with it and I stayed in the car business. I ended up building at some at the same time and some different times. And through different partnerships, I owned or co-owned 15 car dealerships, and then left the automotive business because I decided I wanted to sleep a little bit and have a little bit less stress.
Yeah.
Because it's a very tough business. But that's the time where I crossed paths and partnered up with Mark Victor Hansen. So Mark had sold his Chicken Soup for the Soul business back in 2008, and was really interested in things that, you know, made a difference in the world, and, you know, renewables and green technology. So he wanted to do a startup for a renewable energy company, and he needed someone to run operations. And he saw what I had done with the car dealerships, and starting from basically, you know, one $1,600 car, and built that into, you know, big car. I mean, it, you know, was somewhat okay, you know, car business. You know, he wanted me to be on the team, and so I aligned with the goals and everything. And so that was just an amazing experience. And then from there, you know, I've just taken off. I've had so many different opportunities to work with amazing people. I've, you know, met with hundreds and hundreds of companies, you know, reviewing technologies that are emerging and coming to market, and doing all these fun, creative things to just make the world better and help people succeed in their businesses and provide solutions. And so I've been involved in a number of companies over the years, but fast forwarding up to, you know, how to be up and down time. So I was on a phone call with Mitzi and Mark, and it was actually originally Mitzi Purdue, so my co-author, who was a guest on your show, and she's the most amazing person
she's awesome.
ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I just absolutely love her.
Yeah.
You know, every conversation I have with her is mind-opening and inspiring, and she's just a delight of a human.
Yeah.
You know? But we were on a phone call, and she said, "Hey, I want to help people." You know, this was right at the forefront of the breakout of pandemic kind of situation. And she's like, "I want people to stay safe. I want to do 52 ways to, you know, stay safe during this pandemic outbreak." But her legal team said, "No, you can't do that. That's not, you know, it puts you too much risk, you know, because of giving advice around medical." Unfortunately, that's the world we live in.
Sure, yeah.
Where, you know, it puts her too much exposure to give, you know, that type of advice in a book or something. And so she was saying this on the phone when we were in a meeting, and I said, "Well, why don't you write a book about 52 ways to stay positive in isolation? Because I think we're going to be locked down for a little while, and I think people are going to have a hard time with this." And she's like, "I love that idea." And anyway, we started collaborating from there, and then it turned into How to Be Up and Down Times.
Yeah.
So,
and it's what are some, so it's always easy kind of talk about, right, these positives, like, you know, and I'm by no means is this a criticism or an attack, but, you know, like, I can look at things and be like, the future's going to be great, you know, life is going to be so much better, life expectancy, and like those are all things we objectively know, right? You go back 150 years, you look at things like amputations to penicillin to vaccines to surgery to all things that is just, and now we're going to like genomic medicines, biotech, nanotech, way down the road, and you're like, okay, things are getting better. That's like an objective fact, barring an asteroid, like that's a fact. But it's also easy to become kind of pessimistic of it, because we hear about all these great things, and then like reality kind of sets in that it's like, this is just a Friday and there's no flying cars, and it's like, where are we? And it's, so that whole thing to kind of lay the groundwork for this is like, the book talks about a lot of great things that are coming. What are some like concrete, so what I was getting at is like, there are concrete things, technology is going up, like, remember your flip phone? Now look at an iPhone. It's like, okay, this is like a real concrete thing that I'm on a MacBook. Okay, this is 10 times or 100 times more powerful than the MacBook I had in 2010. What are some like concrete things that you think are, because I know this podcast has come out of the pandemic. Well, absolutely. So that's one of the things that's come out of pandemic is a lot of podcasts. Yeah. So I think actually, I don't know if I'm exact, you know, but I think the numbers went from pre-pandemic about 200,000 podcasts to, I think, now pushing 1 million. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's a huge thing, but it's so cool because it's people that are sharing their voice, they're sharing their information, they're sharing, you know, what they have out there with the world, and they're reaching new people, they're reaching new markets, because you have people that listen to you, and the people that listen to you are different than the people, you know, in the podcast that I talk to on, you know, a different day or a different day or this or that.
everyone resonates and connects with someone differently. And so it's so cool to be able to have this variety and this diversity of these platforms that have come out of this, like where people can go on and they can create something, they can express themselves. And I think too, a lot of the popularity of this and to the popularity of the video is I think there's generally like a craving. So social media, has had this huge ramp up of adoption. People spend all the time on social media platforms, but then they have this real deep craving for authenticity.
Yeah.
One, and for real connections too. And so then you see the social media trends go from pictures and posts to stories and to videos and to different things like that are more a little bit more connected. And then you have one of these live things that are even more real and more aligned. And so you see a trend that way, and podcasts allow that too. They're another platform. And some of the other things that have come out of this, great positives, kind of like you're saying, well, we advanced about 10 years in 3 months because we were forced to. So we have had this massive adoption of technology. One thing that's really great, on some of the CEOs I coach, I've talked to about this, and it's the cost savings and the efficiency. So having a meeting like this wasn't normally accepted. It wasn't normally adopted in the past. And so I literally would have to hop on a plane, and I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and I'd go down to Sky Harbor Airport, and I'd fly over to California, and I'd go over and get my rental car by whatever 7:30, and then I'd start my drive through California, and I could do like 4 meetings in the day, and I'd spend about 8 hours of driving to those 4 meetings because it's California, and then I'd fly home and get back at midnight. But it would take me 4 weeks to coordinate those 4 meetings, and get that to all line up. And then I had to buy a plane ticket, and I had to buy a rental car, and I had to take a day. Now I, use AI and automation, and I send out messages, and they book when it lines with their schedule and my schedule. And, we talk like this, and it's done. And it's free. And now it's accepted. So it's normal, which is,
okay.
It feels annoying, behind the scenes, because everyone's like, all these Zoom meetings, I'm sick of this, or sometimes with companies. But it's also incredibly efficient, because I can do in one workday what took me 8 weeks to do before, as far as effective corporate meetings.
That's insane. I mean, one, if you just wanted to go with an objective argument, you could just say like carbon footprint, right? I mean, you're not getting in a 4-engine jet flying at 35,000 feet, burning a couple gallons a minute, right? It's, but there's, okay, so I get what you're saying. I mean, there is technological growth, but it's, you could say there's societal growth. We're going, right? Because they said without the Cold War right now in 2020, we would be at 2000 technology. So the new big hot product this Christmas would be the click wheel iPod, right? But now we're here, right? So it's like, okay, downside thermonuclear war, upside, look where we are now. There's almost like almost like a cultural space race, if you will. It's now, it was always weird, right? Because FaceTime's been a thing for a while. Skype, I mean, I remember using Skype in 2011, and even then it was old. But we never. There's always kind of like a running joke. It's like we have this like technology that is like the technology of the gods, but no one ever FaceTimed each other. It's probably not until COVID that I regularly FaceTime people now, because so you're right, it kind of advances what is accepted, right? It's the advancement of what is okay. And out of that, you're right, is because now that everyone is forced to do it, now it's not just like because it's almost kind of unprofessional, right? No, you're gonna meet here in person. You're gonna show up in your suit, and you're gonna put in your mouthwash. Hey, I'm Preston, and I'm doing the thing, and we're here talking to each other, and neither of us wants to be here. But instead, it's just like, hop on Zoom and it's like, what's up, dog? And it's like, do I, who knows? Do you even have shoes on? Do you have pants on? Who knows? But you're at home. You can do it, right? That's the mystery. You can do it.
Luckily,
yeah, so do I. But, that's part of the fun. Who knows? But if that is not accepted, because it's not just between us, it is now between CEOs and CFOs and CTOs, right? And it's going with all this stuff, and there's telework, there's telemedicine. It's sort of being forced into the limelight of like, this isn't right. It's like Twitter beginning versus now you have Twitter. You could see heads of state yelling at each other. It's like now it's kind of legitimate, comical but legitimate. So okay, I get that argument. All right, touche. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. You mentioned like telemedicine. I mean, you think of things and advancements like that. I hate going to the doctor. If they're not going to poke me or prod me or test me, why do I need to show up there? Most of the time, they just ask me a couple questions. Yeah. For a lot of standard operating procedural type stuff. Yeah. And so they check some basic things. So, with telemedicine, remote medicine. Why do I need to go to the doctors if everyone's sick there?
Yeah.
And why do I need to waste my time?
Yeah.
I had a teledoc visit and it was awesome. I'm sitting here working, time for my visit. I, clock in right here on the computer. I don't even stand up. 15 minutes, done.
Yeah.
And, or I don't even think it was that long. It was only a couple minutes, but.
And then you're finished and you're in your own home or your office and you're like, you're instantly, it's kind of in a way really stretching it now. It's kind of like we've mastered teleportation now, right? Right?
Nice.
Imagine if I just could man, instead of going to the airport, got to go stand in line, got to go through the security. You're like, man, what if I could just teleport? I could go do 4 meetings a day in California. And it's like, but, that's not the reality. We've kind of mastered teleportation. Yeah. It's just, that's where we are now. We're meeting, it's okay. Yeah, there's a lot that's being filtered out. There's the, we can see, chest up, but there's still a lot of body language that's lost. And you could argue that, like, doing it this way, I'll never have the feel of like a Joe Rogan podcast where he has them in person. But damn, that's a tiny sacrifice for instant communication, anyone in the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, when you get to that $100 million funded podcast someday, then you can fly.
You can fly him in, but I like it.
Are pretty cheap right now.
Yeah, I like your optimism, and I've thought about that. Like, man, because I've said it before. I mean, I fully intend on being the biggest podcast in the world. I think it will take me about a decade, but I've thought about that. I'm like, man, like, yeah, that would be really cool, right? I could fly people in. You can kind of command that time, right? And there's the audio and video you'll never be better than in person, but there's also something to be said for, even if you have the money to fly them in and put them up, like, do these people have the money to be able to take 3 days off and go do that? Right. Or do they have 2 weeks of vacation a year? But what if they have like 3 little kids and a wife and you're going to take 3 of their 14 days to go do your podcast? Maybe they say yes, but that kind of screws their family, right? So how I look at it is like, it doesn't matter how big this podcast gets. There is a massive subset of the population, not even subset, I would say a majority of the population, that you're cutting off as potential guests because they got to leave their wife and kids, and it's like, we normally go to the lake, but now I'm going to go do Tommy's podcast. Like, so that's why I like this, is because you'll always be able to call, because right now I can't command anything, but I get people after work. They come home from, I've literally had people come home from flying drones for like the NSA or the CIA. Sorry, not the NSA, the CIA. But then in the afternoon, it's like, they sit down and you can tell they just changed, and they're like, you can hear their kid crying in the background. They're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do a quick pod. And you can grab them for 30 minutes like that, right? Yeah. And there is a beauty to that, but there's also the temptation of being a baller and flying them in on a private jet. But what are some like. So let's get away from like societal and cultural shifts in patterns and patterns and parameters. What are some technological? Could you say like the backbone of video conferencing has gone up? But we've already touched on that, so that's a cop.
Well, yeah. So video. Well, some of the things that are coming down the pipeline that are not quite pandemic related, but technology advancement. is really a lot of the progression around batteries. So,
Okay.
and if you watch the industries that sit around that, like renewable energy, all the devices and things and then the big one is cars, in the pipeline, with electric cars and all of the things that are coming out with that. They have semis. I'm based in Arizona. We've got Nikola Trucking, that's kind of an electric hydrogen.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, hybrid semi truck.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's a Class 8, haulering truck.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's some really neat things, coming down the pipeline with autonomous vehicles, AI, and self-driving and electric vehicles and all those crazy things that kind of seem like those futuristic types of things you dream of as a kid, you see in cartoons or whatever when you're riding around. Well, that stuff's actually here and it's functioning and it's in use. Some people know that and some people don't. Like there are units driving around all the time. I know state by state it's different. The laws are different with electronic vehicles. But in Arizona, there are cars driving around here without drivers operating the vehicles, and there's a lot of companies doing that. But if you look at what that does for, it's interesting because I'm a car nut. I love driving, so it's that battle. But if you look at what that will do for people, in the future, as far as mobility issues, elderly, blind, disabled, alcoholic, impaired, people. Just working or doing things as far as productivity while you're driving if you have a fully functional vehicle, and then safety, general safety. And so there's a lot of different advancements, and then also looking at batteries as a technology too. I was in the renewable energy business, and so everything with renewables hinges around storage, and there's never been more money put into battery technology than there is right now across the world, across the globe. So there's hundreds of billions of dollars being put into battery technologies, and a lot of it's from the push from renewables and the automotive sector to make these batteries better. So my prediction is within the next 10 years, I think we'll actually have electric cars that you could drive, an average person could drive for a month off of one charge.
Oh, shit.
So you charge it at your house. Okay. And and we'll have production vehicles that you'll be able to do that with because of the advancement of technology in batteries. And one fun one that I love, I deal a lot with, that's I think a positive. Some people look at it as a positive or negative, is the work from home. So work from home is a huge topic. So I deal with outsourcing a lot in different realms of outsourcing. I've set up teams internationally for companies, and I do a lot of that type of work. So remote work, it has been the norm for me for a long time. That's the space I live. Now I don't have to convince anyone of remote work anymore. Because that was either proven or disproven, but you know where you stand with it. Yeah. But when you look at it too, from the benefits of people, from the benefits of a person that's working from home. So say if you had a commute, say if you had a 1 hour commute, and you work from home, you just picked up a whole entire day, a whole entire work day, over a work day. You 10 hours if you commuted, and you don't have to commute anymore because you go 5 days a week, you go back and forth. It's 2 hours each day. It's 10 hours, 8 hour work day. It's over a day. You just landed back in your life over a whole day.
A day, a day per week, right?
That you just got back every week. So so what are you going to do, with that day? What can you do with that day?
Okay.
What can you do with it now? And so I love to encourage people to do kind of like what you're doing, the project, that dream, that thing that you put off.
Yeah. That's it's kind of like that what the hierarchy, the pyramid of needs, right? And it's the idea, and it's the idea of like in the future, it's like, well, what are we going to do when everything's automated? And it's like, no, when everything's automated and like everything's provided for us, like we're going to see like a renaissance of like art and culture. Granted, the robots don't kill us all. We're going to see a renaissance of art and culture that we've never seen in human history. Because how many people that are digging the proverbial ditch right now, or delivering pizza, or stocking liquor shelves, or delivering Chinese food, all things I've done. How many people now like won't need to do that? How many of them are just like they've never had like a time, they've never had the time of day because they're always exhausted doing some bullshit job that they hate. How many of them are all of a sudden they have free time and they start messing around and it's like, oh, Jimi Hendrix, right? Or it's like, or not. What if it's just because that's music? And what if it's like oh, Elon Musk? It's some guy that's like, hey, I figured out like I don't know, I figured out like the ion plasma drive like problem. We can get to Mars quicker. But this dude just never had the time because it was gotta go to work. I'm exhausted. I gotta pound some coffee. I got a headache. Gotta take some NyQuil. I'm tired in the morning. Baby's crying. Gotta fill up the car with gas. But now that he's got time, it's and granted that's optimistic. The vast majority of people aren't like that. But how many of them are? I don't know, a Tesla or an Einstein or.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've dealt in the space of startups a lot. I've helped a lot of startup companies. I've looked, with different things and helping them do fundraising or get to market. And there's a lot of really, really, really smart people. And, there's a lot of dreams out there that people just don't have the time to do. And it's what's that monumental thing, that big idea that could be out there that could change the world. That's why, like I got involved in the program, you have a book in you. So Mark has this book, you have a book in you. So I helped him and we took his teaching and built the training for you have a book in you, because it's just like that cumulative information of knowledge out there in the world. I want everyone to tell their story.
Yeah.
I want everyone to share that information. That's my goal. And that's my hope. And it was so much fun. So, we were in the middle of making that and I was going through, writing this book, and doing those two things together was absolutely fantastic.
That's kind of like psychedelic, writing a book about there's a book in you while writing a book, and then all the while you're doing a thing that's keeping you up in down times. That's some beautiful top, right? It's So I got to circle around. Wait, so what all do you do? At first I was like, all right, got it in my head. I'm like, all right, kind of built your own little mini car empire, like, okay, and then you wrote this. But now you're like coaching. Now you're like, and then when I'm coaching CEOs, and it's like, okay, and then it's like I worked in the renewables for a while. What all do you do? This is okay. All right,
no, that's a good question. Sometimes I don't even think my wife can answer that. And I actually was out at dinner. Some buddies, some data center guys I knew flew in town, and we all went out to dinner last night. And I was joking with one of them because he's like, I don't think my wife can describe what my job even is. Yeah. And she even asked me, she's like, what are you doing sometimes? I was like, I think my wife is the same way. I don't think she can describe what I do. But so to give you a little bit of background. So basically I have the company Operations X. So Operations X is kind of, out of all the companies I've been involved in, out of all the things I've been involved in life, out of all the projects and all the amazing people I've been involved in, I look at it and I go, okay, I'm a good strategist. How can I help people, support people, and create solutions? So it's a business solutions company. It's a business support company. So I place remote employees for people. And so I do that internationally. So I actually have an office in the Philippines. So we do like virtual assistants. We do remote, all that kind of stuff. So marketing calls, accounting, and virtual assistants are what we focus on with that. And then since when COVID hit, I'm around a lot of different speakers. So that's a lot of fun. I've been in that group, and so I'm around a lot of those people, and they couldn't go out and speak. All the events are shut down. All events are closed. They can't speak. What are they going to do? So we had to come up with a solution. So we dove in head first, and I learned how to, create these courses and put, videos online and put trainings online. And then I built teams to do that. And then we started doing that as projects with people. And then I started doing that, offering that as a solution. So helping people to take their training or, whatever it is that they want to do and put that online, build it into an online asset that they can go distribute and sell to whoever their market is. And so we've done a lot of fun things.
How old are you?
I'm 38.
38? You don't look it, man. I'm 30. I thought I was older than you. I thought, like, no bullshit. I thought you were like 28.
Well,
Okay.
I'd probably do my hair spiky like a 10-year-old.
No,
so.
hey man, dude, you look younger than that, man. You not younger than 10. I mean, you look younger than 38. Right? That's weird. It's not.
I'll take it.
Fuck it, dude.
Anything.
rock it, dude. A lot of guys my age and our age are losing hair. You've got an awesome head of hair. But what is so what's coming then? All right, so you go from putting cars together to jumping up to here, having a business in the Philippines and doing telemedicine or telemarket or business, going to flying to California, Mark Victor Hansen, Mitzi Purdue, renewable energies, battery growth, your coach CEOs. So okay, what is, you're moving a ton of chess pieces around.
Yeah.
You're someone that clearly plans, which means that this isn't just the thing some people just fall into a job. You know, it's, what are you? I'm an accountant. How'd that happen? Well, I don't know. I married a girl whose dad got me a job, and it's just kind of been 30 years of that, which is fine, whatever. You're clearly someone that puts all this together, and I imagine you don't have a lot of fat. You trim it off, right? And might get, you're a strategist, you're efficient, right? I think I'm pretty good at planning.
I've learned that over the
years. I think I'm pretty good at planning, but it seems like I'm getting taken to school by you, which means I have my plans. I never am just doing something. It's everything has a purpose to the next day, to the next week, to the next decade. All that rant for, okay, so what's down the road for you? I don't mean like down the, like, you know, I have this monthly goal. What do you have by 2030? What are you doing? Or is that secret? Is that secret?
No, it's not secret. I should look up a little bit more, but I've got a couple different things. I really like, reaching people and helping people and doing that with the message. I want to, build out this solution for companies so we can, reach a large amount of people. But I've got another book in me, or maybe a few books in me. So I've got another book that I am going to write. I've got, basically it aligns with what I use in my coaching, and so I kind of call it my life of action plan, but it's not, I don't know if that'll be the book or what comes around it, but it all hovers around that. And the basic premise of that is that, so one of my mantras is relentless improvement.
Fuck yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I am of the understanding that I'll never know anything. So I'll never know not anything. I'll know something, but I never know everything. I'll never know everything. And so, okay, accepting that I'll never know everything, then I can constantly be learning.
Yes.
So, by agreeing to that, I'll never know everything. Then, the only other option, for me, if I want to, keep improving and do better, is, to learn every day and to try to do, that and do that relentless improvement mantra. And I believe, the world, I have this theory, I like to imagine it like this. The world is in motion. So it's like literally spinning, we're spinning around on it, we can't feel it, but we're going around it.
1,000 miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Some scientist knows exactly what that speed is. I don't, but I guess it depends on where
you are on the Well, it's a flat Earth, Preston. I don't know if you knew that, but it's actually a flat Earth. And if you disagree with me, I will cancel this podcast. But yeah, sorry. So we're going on. World is in motion.
Yeah. So the world's constantly in motion, and so right now here, like we're talking and we're doing something, but like the world's in motion around me. Literally, like everyone's doing something. My neighbors are out there doing something. They're working. They're driving somewhere. Everything's happening. Life's happening. So if you're not in motion with life, moving, you're either moving forward or you're moving backward, I think, because of the fact that life, is in motion, so much, it's in a constant motion. So you're moving forward or you're moving backward. And so, we have a choice because life's advancing around us.
Yeah.
So if life is advancing around you, then you're moving backward, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you've got to kind of keep up. Life's changing, like we've said. Everything's moving so quickly. And other things, AI is a huge thing that got adopted, during COVID. But so just taking that and go, okay, what do you do with it? What are you doing? And and separating, really getting down, breaking down and separating what's real and what's not real in your life.
Yeah.
And so, with the world moving around you and everything that's happening in your life, what are your goals are, where are you going, and where you're coming from, sometimes stops people from doing things. So, we have all these limiting beliefs and these different things that, we think about. And so, like, people out there right now, there's a lot of people that are afraid. There's a lot of people that are scared. They have, this fear of something that's happening, and it's controlling the pattern. It's controlling their lives. It's controlling, their emotions. It's controlling their feeling. And so, what do we do to get control of that? And my method of, getting control of that is really, really breaking down intensely what is real and what's actually happening and what's not happening, or what's, just a thought from the past or a fear from the future. And then, what we can do in that space. And so that's kind of, a big passion of mine. So I want to put that into a book, and I've got a bunch of different things that spin out of that.
Do you meditate?
So sometimes, not enough, but what I do, so I've done a couple different things. So I used to be a night owl. I used to be actually kind of a
nocturnal,
not sleep at all, an insomniac.
Okay.
Really. Okay. And so, and I'm a busybody. I do a 500 million things. You can kind of probably get that from our little conversation. I've got like ADHD. And
Hey man, so do I. That's a superpower. That's not a problem. That's a superpower. Right?
No, it is. It really is. And a lot of people don't. Unfortunately, they're told that it's not.
No, I think it absolutely is. If a computer can multitask and do 100 things, do you say that's a piece of shit computer, or do you say that's a ball and computer?
Right.
That's how I look at it as. Yeah, I'm like, screw you. I'd rather be ADD than focused on one thing. Sorry, interrupted you.
No, that's right. So if you look backwards here, you'd see, I've got 3 screens in front of me, and I've got like notes and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. It's that chaos, of life. But I actually forgot where I was going with that. But
meditation, night owl, insomnia.
Meditation. So what I was doing, what I incorporated in my life, actually, really when I moved down to Arizona, that has helped me to kind of normalize and balance out things, is to get control of my sleep cycles and actually follow that old circadian rhythm, that idea of the circadian rhythm of, waking up. And the most dumb, simple way to think of it is to sleep and wake up with the sun. Go to bed and wake up with the sun.
It is so wildly, and it sounds like such a simple, like, hey, I've got a job interview. What should I do? Give him a firm handshake. And it's like, well, no shit, right? It's But dude, in college, man, I feel so stupid because my freshman year, I almost failed out. I was such a bad student. But like my sophomore year, I decided I was like, I want to be a doctor. And I started like studying a lot and exercising more. And I remember one morning I was doing research under Dr. Gretchen Bielmeyer at Valdosta State University. So this was like August 2010. And I remember one day I just felt immaculate, and like I'd been working out for like 5 years at that point, so it wasn't that. And I was like, what is this? And I realized that for the first time in like years, I had slept for 8 hours, and I was like, this is my new like cheat code. I'm just gonna get sleep. But I did that nonstop throughout college, and that's one of the reasons I think I got into medical school. And then I stopped for several years. In 2014, I lost a sibling to suicide, and I just went off the rails for like 5 years. And then last December, I started this podcast, and having guests, I was like, I can't be tired and cranky and anxious. So I was like, I just got to sleep. So it sounds stupid and it sounds simple, but having stopped in about 2014 and really not resuming until December 2019, I was like, I need to be in bed. Yeah, I can sit on my phone for a while. That's fine. I need to be in bed at like 9 or 10. I'll fall asleep around midnight, wake up at like 8. And I was like, that's just something I have to do. It's so stupid and so simple, and it sounds so obvious. But damn, if that isn't the cornerstone of, this podcast, I would say is the cornerstone of it. I'm well rested.
Yeah, it is. It's sad, but it's a lot of those silly little things that make the difference, in our lives. And that's actually, the biggest thing, going back to kind of where we started with this, and you're saying, you were talking about, the positivity of, things, it's easy to be positive and happy and hoorah. Yeah. Life's going to be good. Life's going to be good. But also there's another truth that comes along with that. And you actually become what you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
There is so much data. There's so many studies. There's so many different levels that this is true on, from people, which I used to not believe. I've got stories I don't have time to do today, but I used to not believe that you become who you surround yourself with, and that is very much true.
It's absolutely true.
And the same thing with your environment. You're at that environment. If you're around a positive environment, if you have positive things that you experience every day, even if they are silly or small or simple, they will make a huge difference in your life. It's actually real.
It's you really do. I used to be with you. I'd be like, I can just be a positive light in like an ocean of darkness. But as I've gone on, I'm like, man, if you're surrounded by like, think of Chernobyl, think of the firefighters that were like terribly poisoned with polonium, and they made sure none of the hospital workers went near them. Well, I didn't touch any polonium. Why does it matter? Well, they're all radioactive. They're giving off radiation. It doesn't matter if you don't have any in your system. You're going to die if you go sit near them. And I know I only got you for 5 more minutes. We're going to do another podcast, by the way. I hope you know that.
I'd love to.
Yeah, for everyone listening, he was supposed to come on at 2 p.m. and like a true jerk, I took a different call and asked Preston if we could postpone it. But I'm now realizing that this is an awesome episode, and I wish we had more time. But Preston has to go. Point being is that I had on Dale Comstock, who is the youngest ever member of Delta Force, now retired. He's 56, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's right. But the point is like he's the most... I've had him on here, shaved head, American, literal like CIA killer, like no exaggeration, like CIA mercenary, no bullshit. And there's a guy you look at, there's a guy you look at, right, and you're probably thinking like, oh, that's a guy that he doesn't smoke pot, he doesn't drink, he's probably, it's all, just work hard and get it. But I remember reading his book, American Badass, and I had him on the podcast. In his book, he talks about, you'd think you're reading this from like a total new age hippie. He's like, everything's energy. You have to focus yourself, and you have to visualize success. Tell yourself you can. Even if you don't believe it, just say it, because saying it shows that you still want it, and you will move towards that frequency. And you have to cut out the negative people in your life. And I'm like, this sounds like some new age hippie on Facebook selling essential oils, but it's Dale fucking Comstock, right? And then his other guy, Joe Tedai, who also worked with him in the CIA. He's like, oh yeah, no, man. You guys, like, you're like, your mind is a garden. You got to prune out the weeds. You have to focus on what you want. You have to stay clear. And I'm like, what the hell is going? Because these are guys that, if you offered a joint to, they'd be like, screw, no, I don't smoke. These are like as straight edged, clean cut, all American, just like good old boys. And here they are, like, you have to center your mind and focus towards the positivity. And it's like, well, God damn it. If Dale Comstock says that, and he said that in Delta Force, they actually trained them to meditate, to focus their mind. And I'm like, well, that's all the science I need. That, like, if it's a girl with long hair and pajama pants on and she's like, you just have to like focus on like the message that the trees are telling you, I'd be like, look, I don't believe that, but you're really hot, so I'll smoke this joint with you. No, when it's Comstock looking you in the eye and it's like, when you're getting ready to go clear a room and go kill some fucking terrorists, you got to be in the zone and clear your mind. And I'm like, well, that's the science. There we go. So I guess we'll pick up on that for another episode, but it's I truly believe that you have to pull yourself towards that mindset. I really do believe that we create our reality, and if you tell yourself that everything bad is going to happen, everything bad is going to happen. But the analogy I use in my mind is like, what if you're playing Russian roulette, and what if, by thinking that I'm gonna die, stay with me. What if that somehow, because we know the brain gives off, alpha, beta, gamma, theta waves. What if that's somehow one of those waves? And this is a weird analogy, but what if somehow one of those waves did create like a magnetic field, what it would do is, it would pull up the bullet in the chamber, right? That's negative. Well, one thing I always think of like, what if we constantly have a gun of, you know, eight rounds in the chamber, and if you think negative is going to happen, you're going to get the negative bullet. But if you tell yourself today's going to be an awesome day, I'm going to put out a killer podcast, I'm going to snag a couple subscribers, and I'm going to get an email from this guy back. What if you're just, that revolver is changing and you're, but how do we not know that's, and that sounds all ooh, and that's crazy. But dude, we used to think the earth was flat. We used to think that there was no such thing as germ theory. If you got sick, it was because you were a witch, right? Who's to say that's not real? I'm not letting you talk. I'm sorry. I just got really excited.
No, yeah. No, it's totally true. What you're saying too, you know, with energy, well, energy is real and it's actually measurable. And
yeah,
if you look at it in nature, there's an example. So I don't know if you know this, but sharks.
Yeah.
So sharks actually sense electricity.
Yeah, they don't see you. They see beating hearts.
So they feel like an actual measurable electric impulse that an animal gives off, or the fish or whatever. And that electric impulse can change with the stress or you know, what's happening and things like that. And that is receivable by sharks, by an animal. They have something in their that makes them receive that. But we do the same thing. Oh, there's my alarm. Sorry, but you know, the same thing is people receive it. You know, we're just not that aware of it sometimes. Yeah. And it changes our lives, and you know, it makes a difference. And so energy and perception, our podcast too.
Dude, I'm so sorry I bumped this back 2 hours. I'm so upset. I'm gonna text you after this, or we can talk about it. When can I have you on again? Because I feel terrible because this was a fantastic conversation. No,
we'll make it work. Let's coordinate.
All right. I won't make you. I won't make you choose right now. I'll send you a text.
I know you got it. I have to look at my schedule.
We got energy, perception, meditation. I was also going to ask about the Cybertruck and, you know, what you think about that. Are they going to make a cyber RV so you can just go to sleep and wake up in new cities and shit? And I got a lot of questions to ask you, Preston. I am glad our paths have crossed. Well, actually, thank you, Mitzi, for crossing our paths. And,
Mitzi's fantastic.
Shout out Mitzi Purdue.
Happy too.
Yeah. Preston Weekes, co-author of How to Be Up in Down Times, and clearly a Renaissance man that I cannot wait to have on again. I'm gonna stop recording this, start processing it. I'm gonna text you in the next like 2 minutes. And I know you gotta go, and I'm keeping you. Preston Weekes, thank you so much for coming on. The book will be in the description of the top comments. Stay safe, everybody. God bless.
Hey, take care.
Preston, be easy, buddy.